Video is for the folks who are sick of throwing out their low back every time they so much as look at their toes. They're sick of like not being able to tie their shoes, touch their toes. Just tight low back is so annoying, especially when you have to try to play with your kids and do laundry and work and do all of those things, right? The four most common causes of low back tension are capsular restriction, rib cage dysfunction, pelvic dysfunction, and a lack of hip internal rotation. Now, none of those mean anything to you at this exact moment, and of course, this kind of rules out, or at least doesn't go down the rabbit hole that is spinal stenosis and disc herniation and nerve impingement. Those are not what we're talking about. I'm talking about stiffness, tightness, and frustrating restriction, not clinical significant issues. Okay? If you've got those, go see a doctor. Those are the things that need to be seen by somebody who is a specialist, like a chiropractor, physical therapist, or orthopedist. Okay? Capsular restriction is connective tissue that connects one segment of your spine to the other. It kind of webs together. And when you don't move your spine, your body will hold on to that tissue and restrict it to the range of motion that you typically utilize on a daily basis. So this is kind of the use it or lose it mentality. If you can't or don't move your spine ever through flexion and extension, you never do that. Your spine goes, well, we don't do that. And so it just kind of limits what you are using. Number two, rib cage dysfunction. And so when you are stuck here, what do you think that does to your low back? If you're trying so hard to pull your shoulder blades back and down and hold yourself in this tall posture, if you're limiting how much you actually can use your thoracic spine, so the segment from the base of your rib cage up to just before your neck starts, if you're limiting how much that moves, your body has to get that movement from somewhere. And ultimately what that does is create a ton of tension in your lumbar spine, your low back. And then on top of that, your rib cage is one of the most mobile segments of your body. It moves more than anything else because every time you breathe, it moves. Every time you reach or move your arms, it moves. So if you hold yourself like this all the time, rib cage rocking forward and trying so hard to hold yourself like this, it's no wonder you have problems everywhere, let alone your low back, right? We're gonna get that stuff moving so well, and if you've already started with the rib cage class, you already know what I'm talking about. How much better this moves when it moves, right? And how much tension just melts from your body. Number three is your pelvis. So pelvic dysfunction is so much more common than people even realize. Like most people don't even think about their pelvis. They're just like, oh, I have tight hips and therefore low back. No, what it is again, if you watch the ribcage fundamentals, this makes a lot more sense. But we are two-sided creatures, right? And when your pelvis, we are biased towards our right side. Our body will work to get movement to our left, depending on the strategy that you utilize to get to your left side, because believe it or not, you have to go left and right when you're trying to walk. As much as you try to utilize strategies to get to your left side, ultimately, if it's not a quote unquote functional strategy, then you will start to create tension and problems elsewhere. So there's a section of connective tissue that connects from your pelvis, so call this your pelvis, to your lumbar spine. When you cheat to get to your left side rotation, that tissue, if you cheat enough times, that tissue starts to get lax and you lose some of the stability that you're supposed to have from pelvis to lumbar spine. And so then lumbar spine is moving willy-nilly and ultimately ends up with more dysfunction, more pain than it's supposed to have. Obviously, we're not supposed to have pain, but like functionally, it's supposed to be able to do certain things. So restoring that pelvic function, like the two sides of your pelvis, and getting them back to doing what they're supposed to do and not overly compressed on the backside or overly stuck on one side or the other, mostly right, that can make a absolutely massive change in the way that your lumbar spine feels. Number 4 is hip internal rotation. So we tend to think this as hip mobility, right? We think pigeon. Pigeon is like, for whatever reason, it's the Swiss Army knife of back pain and hip pain and everything. Just go to pigeon pose. You know what? Most people can't do that. They don't have the actual access to range of motion. And so what do when they do that? They cheat through their lumbar spine. But that's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about internal rotation. So the idea of your ankle bone going out to the side, your knee at the midline going this way. That's internal rotation. Most of us sit in some degree of external rotation and we never actually access internal rotation. It's super, super important. There's going to be courses on specific issues from all of these different things. I'm going to give you 4 really great interventions that will help a ton with restoring mobility to your low back. And I'm also going to give you workouts. I'm going to add them over time. Workouts that you can do around a stiff low back to continue to make progress. Specifically lower body workouts, because that's typically where you find the biggest limitation is being able to load your lower body. So there's going to be in gym and out of gym, dumbbell only, body weight only, gym workouts that you can do to continue to make progress as you work on your low back. And remember, like I said, these are non-clinically significant restrictions. If you are in extreme pain and you haven't already been seen by a physician, please go get seen by somebody who specializes in your issues. And if you need help finding someone, myself and Donna have a network of people around the world that we can continue to refer you out to and put you in the hands of somebody who is qualified to actually help you. All right? We're doing what we can from this world, this section, this like improving the way that your body works. But honestly, if you're in a significant amount of pain, please go get seen. It's not worth waiting. You only have one life. You only have one back. So all of that is to say, I'm glad you're here and I'm happy for the chance to help you. All right? Continue through these things. Let me know what's worked for you. If you have questions, please, you can always message us. All right? Take care.